instead of raising the standard of living that we have globally, they would rather just destroy the United States, or destroy our standard of living so that we're comparable to everybody else. So now everywhere is a third world nation. And that's exactly what they're doing. And they're doing it for power.
He knew all this. He warned that would happen if Creepy was elected. And he was the man in Washington trying to solve the problems. But, well, you know what happened. We had one for 4 years, and he did stand up.
You know, we don't have a guy that's strong enough in office as president to stand up and say, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, we've really been sold out. That there are forces within our government, like what Kennedy tried to do, that just flat out want to destroy the United States because we're too good, because we have too much. That there are people that know what is going on, and they play the game anyway. They don't have the courage to say, look, folks, let's deal with the realities here. You know, and if you're going to have a tyrant in your life, let it be that part of you that's critical of you. Let that be your only tyrant. Don't give anybody else any power outside of your physical form to be a tyrant, to control you, or manipulate you in any way. Be yourself. Because if you are yourself, you're a part of God, and that part of you knows what to do. It knows the right way to live.
All Lives Matter, Trump 2024, Waldo Rivera, X-Files edition. Your discretion advised. Good evening, everyone, or morning, whenever you watch this. If you have a Bible handy, you might want to grab it. Look up the verse, Genesis 9, 28 and 29. Talks about Noah and how old he was when he died. Did you know this? And all the other people who lived to be very, very old in the Bible. So, if you believe this, what I'm about to show you isn't that hard to believe, is it? Just pay attention and listen to what's said. As you may or may not know, the very first stimulus bill signed by President Trump required the Pentagon to release UAP, otherwise known as UFO, information in June of 2021, which they did. They have acknowledged that a lot of the videos that they have, in fact the ones that have been released, that they are real, and they say they don't know what they are. I tend to believe they know what it is. However, the pilots have come out and talked about it on national TV, have said they don't know what they are. If it was ours and it was classified, they wouldn't be on TV talking about it in the first place. They would be, in big trouble, obviously. And these pilots, either they're all suffering from some sort of brain condition, they really saw something. Please pay attention carefully to what's being said. You're about to get the whole picture. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoy it.
So important. Very importantly, I'm hereby directing the Department of Defense and Pentagon to immediately begin the process necessary to establish a Space Force as the sixth branch of the armed forces. That's a big statement. My administration has recognized space as a warfighting domain and made the creation of the Space Force a national security priority. Today, I'm thrilled to sign a new order, taking the next step to create the United States Space Force. So important. It's the future. It's where we're going. I suspect whether we like it or not, that's where we're going. It's space. That's the next step. And we're honored to be joined by Apollo astronaut Jack Schmitt. Jack became one of the last Americans to land on the moon. Today, we pledge that he will not be the last. And I suspect we'll be finding other places to land in addition to the moon. What do you think, Jack? Where's Jack? What do you think, Jack? We'll find some other places out there? There are a couple of other places, right?
We should. Learn from the moon.
We'll learn.
And by your action today, with this clear vision, returning Americans to the moon, preparing to lead to Mars and beyond, you are ensuring, Mr. President, that America will lead in space in the future and for generations to come. In pursuing these objectives, Mr. President, we will, as you said, enhance our national security and our capacity to provide for the common defense of the people of the United States of America.
Turning American astronauts to the moon for the first time since 1972 for long-term exploration and use. This time, we will not only plant our flag and leave our footprint, we will establish a foundation for an eventual mission to Mars and perhaps someday to many worlds beyond. We'll find some other places out there? There are a couple of other places, right?
We should. Learn from the moon.
We'll learn.
You let me know when you need to break. How are the renegade Zeta Reticulans able to manipulate Earth's most powerful governments into a position of checkmate?
Oh, it's easy. That part was really easy. Number one, their technology is 2,500 years more ahead of us. Number two, because of our greed factor, certain groups of power elite are in touch with them on a physical level. Well, many of them are implanted. Many of them are so implanted that they have now become part of the gray group mind. And the Andromedans no longer consider some of these human beings, Terrans as they call us, human at all anymore. They're nothing but clones for what the Greys want. And they pass down orders, they tell others what to do, and of course the chain of command that we've established on our planet is exactly what's happening. Also, playing on the greed factor, those who are still human, they look at the fact that, well, they're here, they're the rulers, we can still maintain our place of privilege in the world, so we'll form the new priesthood. We'll be the go-between, between the workers and the gods, just like we saw in Babylon, in Assyria, Egypt. It's all over again. It's history repeating itself all over again.
Because it's the control factor, the hierarchy is the established mode for these negative civilizations to keep their power structure intact.
That's right.
Okay.
And it's another thing, and there's also one more factor. It is about human beings out for power, selling out their own race.
The World Club.
Just selling out the rest of us, the human race, for their moment in glory, for their privilege to be with the gods, so to speak, who are aliens. That's what it is. To have technology that can take them to the moon, to the technology that can take them to Mars, that'll give them the technology to do time travel. They totally sold out a race, our history, everything, for their brief moment in the sun.
Now,
Pisses me off.
I'm sure when they look back on their lives afterward, I would assume that they would regret their choice.
I don't know. I don't know.
Do they have control of the world media?
Oh, greed does. Greed does.
But a lot of the
I don't know if it's them themselves. Well, the programming is being introduced, and it is mankind that is introducing it to the masses.
So it's the people that are selling out, basically.
That's it. It's the new priesthood.
Okay.
That's where the responsibility lies.
What would be the outcome if human beings believed that renegade Zeta Reticulans were the hope of mankind?
We would know a tyranny and an enslavement that is far beyond anything we could even imagine. Just mocking how stupid we are, when we're really not stupid. But nobody will tell the truth. Nobody will come out and say, hey, none of this is right. We would have never meant to live this way. And they had no right to come down here and mess with us the way they've done that. And the real strength in us, in our own permanent evolvement as a race, will come from us standing up, taking a stand and saying, you know what? No way. We're not going to do this. We're not going to destroy ourselves for your enjoyment so you can feed off of us. You have no right to manipulate our governments, to create wars. None of this was right. And that's it. We need to stand up as a race, exercise our free will and say, you know what? We don't want to live this way anymore. We want to create a real future where our kids will have an opportunity to be whatever they want, to live in an environment that's clean, that's free, where they can have water to drink, where they can go out and eat fruit. I'm not saying that there aren't some human beings here that definitely don't have some serious problems. I'm not saying that at all. There are some who do. But the bottom line is, when you look at the whole picture and you go up the ladder, okay, we are not the enemy. The enemy isn't human at all. But it's pushing all our buttons so that we're so busy looking at each other and so neurotic about each other that we're not looking at the real reality here, the real cause, which is another race or races that are here who are totally playing games with us, feeding off our energy and hoping that we destroy ourselves so that they can keep the planet
and
themselves.
Really,
can we take a short time out?
Definitely.
Thank you. You know, Rick, there's something else I want to stress here, and that is, and this is something that the Andromedans have really stressed. There is no race any better than us. Just because they're different, just because they're more evolved, doesn't mean that they're better. We are equal. We're just not maybe as aware as they are. But that doesn't mean that any race is any better or any less. In fact, we're all equal. And if you're going to have a tyrant in your life, let it be that part of you that's critical of you. Let that be your only tyrant. Don't give anybody else any power outside of your physical form to be a tyrant, to control you, or manipulate you in any way. Be yourself. Because if you are yourself, you're a part of God, and that part of you knows what to do. It knows the right way to live. You know, we have tremendous capabilities to create things. And, you know, but we need to get clear of what's real and what isn't. You know, we also need to get really clear about being able to create our own future, to create our own reality, and not have somebody say, well, that doesn't work for me, so you're going to have to do this. You know, or play God and ruler over us. With any sense of power, with any knowledge, comes responsibility. That's exactly right. And the divine plan is one of freedom, free expression. Free expression, free expression, free expression. It is not one where they want to implant us and they say, you are going to be a worker, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. Sorry, that's not what it's all about. And if anybody tries to force that stuff down your throat, fight it.
Okay, so the Andromedans tell you that the Alpha Draconans are here now. Where?
There are 1,833 of them that have been living underground between 100 and 200 miles beneath the surface. They've been here, some of them have been here a long, long time. They have lifespans that are thousands of years. They're carnivorous. They are not friendly to mankind, at least the ones that are here.
Are you saying carnivorous, they eat humans?
Yes. And they need to be, they won't eat a dead human. It has to be alive at the time of the killing. Their preference is children. You know, and we've been told, you shouldn't talk about that. You know, there other people say, well, you better not talk about the reptilians. Well, you know, bull. You know, why not? According to the Andromedans, they're responsible for 31,712 children disappearing in the last 25 years from the United States. These children were food. And I'm supposed to just shut up and not say anything about it because people don't want to hear it? That's tough. That's tough. You know, Westchester County, in the last 5 years, 3,000 children in the Westchester County, New York, have vanished without a trace. Where are they going? Why are we allowing this to happen? And why should people stay in denial about it?
Now, how are they able to do this? How are they able to? How are they able to? How are they able to do it? How are they able to come up out of this from underground and do it, or do they have?
There are tunneling systems everywhere. They're being helped by the Greys, and also there are groups within the higher echelon that are actually helping them acquire this.
So human beings are abducting the kids and getting them to the Greys, who in turn give them to the Alpha Draconans?
That's right. That's part of the deal. They won't come up as long as we feed them down there. You understand? It's about human beings selling themselves out. The echelon attitude here, the needs of the few outweigh the needs of humanity. And sorry, that just isn't right. You know, but it's going to have to be humanity that's going to rise up and take the stand. You're just going to have to turn off your televisions. They're going to have to get in their car. They're going to have to fire everybody in Washington, D.C. that knows and does nothing. And they're going to have to do something.
I'll just mention it, but this great president did want to go in and drain the swamp of all the embedded psychos. Whether or not they're what this guy says, who knows? But facts are the facts. He knew that the swamp needed to be drained. Why? Why was that so important? And look what happens now that the other folks are back in charge. Look what's going on. Where have all those tens of thousands of unaccompanied minors that were at the border earlier in the year, where have they gone? Where's the transparency? Now, I don't really believe that there are aliens underground eating children. However, listen to what Joe Biden said.
We're sucking the blood out of kids?
I'm not sure. Are there people in the Democratic Party who want us to...
Mr. President, we're sucking the blood out of kids?
You know, this apathy's got to end. Otherwise, the way we live is going to end. Period. I mean, that's the bottom line. You know, and I'm not coming from a fear space. I'm really quite angry about the apathy and the fact that, you know, when people give lectures and try to tell this, people want to stand up and fight with them. Look at what's happening around us. The indications are everywhere, everywhere. The truth is now an obscure thing. You know, the lie is the norm. There's something wrong here. What's wrong with this picture? Also the world political government, which right now is very dangerous for humanity because it's part of the Great Plan. It's part of their regressive alien plan to keep us in jail. Okay, do not pass go, but keep us in jail. Violence is desensitizing. You know, violence is just a way of life now. We've been taught that. We've been programmed that violence is just a way of life. So when we see really violent acts, oh, that's too bad. Well, you know, honey, what's on Channel 7? Or what movie are we going to rent tonight? You know, that's what it's come to. And it's wrong. Except for just, you know, start listening to people that are talking. Start really paying attention to what's going on. I wouldn't believe a thing that comes out of Washington, D.C. That every American should march on Washington, D.C. and should fire every single person that's there. They have run this country into the ground. They have totally sold us out to the United Nations for a buck, you know, for the debt. But the responsibility is that there are people that know what is going on and they play the game anyway. They don't have the courage to say, look folks, let's deal with the realities here. You know, we don't have a guy that's strong enough in office as president to stand up and say, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, we've really been sold out. That there are forces within our government, like what Kennedy tried to do, that just flat out want to destroy the United States because we're too good, because we have too much. Instead of raising the standard of living that we have globally, they would rather just destroy the United States, destroy our standard of living so that we're comparable to everybody else. So now everywhere is a third world nation. And that's exactly what they're doing. And they're doing it for power.